all spoilers, final warning. So the good stuff is very good, very incredible action, very well done choreography. It looks excellent, looks amazing, and culminated after a series of very good set pieces and an incredibly interesting duel in France where Wick has his final confrontation and dies? So John Wick is dead. I don't know. I mean, he's been dead before, but they do seem to be confirming, yes, he is dead, but they are kind of leaving the door open. Maybe dead, but kind of not. So how does this work with the wider Wick verse? So I will discuss John Wick 4 itself, but let's get to that first, because it may still be a little confusing, because like, wait a minute, how are these other projects going to work? Well, the Ana de Armas film is basically set between chapter 3 and 4. So what about John Wick 4 proper? Well, it was pretty amazing. As far as we're going to be critical, is pretty thin story. We don't quite know who is replacing Wick. Some people are saying it's going to be the Tracker. Some people say Kane. But I do think they're leaning towards Akira. And I got to be honest, I found Akira kind of meh. I mean, the character is fine. The acting was fine. I have no major issue, but I felt it was very thin. I guess they did set it up like she'll get revenge for what happened, but I don't know. I just felt like they could have done a lot more with that story. A little disappointing. If this is the final Wick, I wish they did a little bit more to make this a very grand finale. But of course, as a part of the advertising, they couldn't give away he is dead, so you're kind of stuck. But it does appear he is finally dead. Obviously, in terms of the story and plot, you kind of wonder, well, why wasn't he dead earlier? Why wait the whole 2 hours and 30 minutes? You could have just done this earlier, done a bigger epilogue. I don't know. I guess they wanted a final twist, or to avoid leaks, or to just confuse people and say, no, he's really dead in the last moment. And Keanu thinks this is a nice big circle for the character. I do agree. We do have a bit of a coherence now with the story, with the biblical religious messages and things like that. It is interestingly comparable to The Matrix, where we technically also have 4 chapters. So it's a nice kind of parallel in terms of his career. I just felt, given this is the final Wick in terms of the main Wick with Keanu, it just felt thin. Like, there needed to be more. Now, I guess you could say they're teasing it for the wider Wick verse to provide more details. I don't think so. I think they're playing it straight. They're not doing this for the money. But I just felt, given what we have, Tracker and Kane, they were the only 2 characters that really felt genuinely real in this whole fantasy arena. Because Bill Skarsgård just does very little. He just says, "Kill John Wick, I have the money. I speak in French accent and being very hyperbolic and melodramatic." But there are great scenes within the movie. I noted that in The Marquis have a good confrontation. Kane and Wick, when they have time to talk to one another. So the trailers don't give everything away, but I don't know. Again, it felt like a really good but thin skeleton of a narrative. That said, I don't begrudge them going with the style approach. There's something you said, just being non-verbal, letting the lights, the images, just the iconography do the storytelling. That's perfectly legitimate. I just don't think Chad is Kubrick. I do think you can call him an artist, but he's not a great artist. So this is a great film made by a middling artist with some interesting intentions and ambitions. So I still would recommend it, but I feel kind of torn that this really wasn't the proper send-off. If they're going to do it, they probably should have done it with one more film, but maybe I'm being greedy. So for what it is, it was pretty good, but I guess the John Wick era being led by Keanu is over, but I don't know. It felt like we needed a little bit more before we close out his story.